The difference between success and failure often comes down to a simple truth that many find uncomfortable to hear. The world doesn't care about your excuses. While others sleep, the successful are grinding. While others complain, the successful are training. While others wait for the perfect moment, the successful are already 10 steps ahead. You see, we live in a world of instant gratification, a world where people expect success to fall into their laps like ripe fruit from a tree, but success isn't a gift, it's a conquest. And conquests require warriors who are willing to push beyond their limits day after day, hour after hour. Let me tell you about two young professionals who started at the same company on the same day with the same salary. Both were bright, both were talented, both had dreams of climbing to the top. But there was one crucial difference between them. One believed in working smart, while the other believed in working smart and hard. The first employee would arrive at 9 a.m. sharp and leave at 5 p.m. sharp. He did his job well, met his targets, and went home satisfied. The second employee, she came in at 7 to prepare for the day ahead. She stayed until 7 p.m., not because anyone asked her to, but because she was hungry for more knowledge, more experience, more growth. After 6 months, both were still doing their jobs well. But while the first employee knew his role inside out, the second employee had learned every aspect of the department. She understood not just what needed to be done, but why it needed to be done. She didn't just complete tasks, she improved processes. She didn't just attend meetings. She came prepared with solutions to problems that hadn't even been discussed yet. You might be thinking, but that's not fair. She's sacrificing her personal life. Are you sure about that? Because while the first employee spent his evenings watching TV shows and scrolling through social media, she was building a foundation for a future that would give her more freedom, more options, and more fulfillment than any amount of leisure time could provide. Here's what most people don't understand about working harder than everyone else. It's not about burning yourself out. It's not about mindlessly putting in hours. It's about having the discipline to do what others won't, so you can have what others don't. Think about the greatest achievements in human history. The pyramids weren't built by people working 9 to 5. The greatest inventions weren't created by scientists who clocked out when the bell rang. The most successful businesses weren't built by entrepreneurs who waited for permission or perfect conditions. When you work harder than everyone else, you're not just putting in more hours, you're making a statement about who you are and what you're willing to do to achieve your dreams. You're telling the universe, I refuse to be average. I refuse to settle for mediocrity. I refuse to let my potential go untapped. But let's be honest with ourselves. Working hard is uncomfortable. It's easier to make excuses. It's easier to point fingers. It's easier to say, I'm not lucky enough, or I don't have the right connections, or the system is rigged against me. These excuses might make you feel better temporarily, but they won't make you better permanently. Every minute you spend making excuses is a minute you could have spent making progress. Every hour you waste blaming others is an hour you could have invested in improving yourself. Ask yourself right now, what did you do today to move closer to your goals? Did you push yourself beyond your comfort zone? Did you learn something new? Did you take action while others were making plans? Did you persist while others were giving up? The beautiful truth about working harder than everyone else is that it puts you in control of your destiny. When you outwork others, you outgrow your limitations. When you outwork others, you outlast your competitors. When you outwork others, you outperform your past self. You might be wondering why some people seem to have an endless supply of energy and determination while others burn out quickly. The secret lies in understanding that working harder isn't just about physical effort. It's about mental fortitude and emotional resilience. Consider the story of a small local restaurant that competed against major chain establishments. While the big players had massive marketing budgets and corporate backing, this small restaurant had something more valuable, an owner who understood the power of outworking the competition. Every morning, while his competitors relied on frozen ingredients and standardized recipes, he visited local markets to select the freshest ingredients. While they used pre-made sauces, he spent hours perfecting his recipes. While they trained their staff to follow corporate manuals, he personally mentored each employee, teaching them not just how to cook, but how to create experiences for customers. Was it more work? Absolutely. Was it harder than following a corporate cookbook? Without question. But here's what happened. While the chain restaurants offered consistency, his restaurant offered excellence. While they served customers, he created loyal followers. While they made sales, he built relationships. Within 2 years, his restaurant had a line out the door every weekend. Within 3 years, he opened a second location, not because he had more resources, but because he worked harder at the things that truly mattered. This is what separates those who achieve extraordinary success from those who settle for ordinary results. The extraordinary don't just work harder, they work harder on the right things. They understand that every extra hour invested in perfecting their craft compounds over time. But let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you are thinking, I already work hard, but I'm not seeing results. Here's a tough truth. Working hard alone isn't enough. You need to work hard with purpose, with direction, with intelligence. Think about a garden. You can spend hours watering your plants, but if you're watering them at the wrong time, with the wrong amount, or with contaminated water, all that hard work won't yield the results you want. The same principle applies to your efforts in any field. Working harder than everyone else means being brutally honest with yourself. Are you really giving your absolute best? Or are you comparing yourself to people who are barely trying and feeling satisfied that you're doing a little bit more than them? True success requires you to compete not against others, but against your own potential. When you understand this, something magical happens. Your focus shifts from external validation to internal growth. Your motivation comes not from beating others, but from becoming the best version of yourself. Let me share something that might change your perspective forever. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with discomfort, sacrifice, and relentless effort. Nobody can bridge that gap for you. No shortcut can take you across it. The only way is through consistent, purposeful hard work. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing to stay the same while others move forward. Every time you settle for good enough, you're settling for less than what you're capable of achieving. Every time you make an excuse, you're making a choice to accept mediocrity. The most successful people in any field aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who consistently put in the work when others make excuses. They're the ones who treat every day as an opportunity to get better, every challenge as a chance to grow stronger, every setback as a lesson to learn from. Have you ever noticed how the hardest workers tend to be the luckiest people? That's not a coincidence. When you work harder than everyone else, you create more opportunities for success. You position yourself to take advantage of chances that others miss. You build the skills and reputation that attract lucky breaks. But here's the part that most people miss. Working harder than everyone else isn't a temporary strategy. It's a lifestyle choice. It's not something you do until you achieve a certain goal. It's something you do because that's who you've chosen to become. Think about elite athletes. They don't stop training once they win a championship. If anything, they train harder because they understand that staying at the top requires more effort than getting there. The same principle applies to any field of endeavor. When you truly commit to working harder than everyone else, something remarkable happens to your mindset. You stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as opportunities to prove your determination. You stop viewing challenges as unfair burdens and start recognizing them as chances to strengthen your character. Consider the construction of a skyscraper. The deeper and stronger the foundation, the higher the building can rise. Yet most people spend their time focusing on what's visible above ground, neglecting the crucial groundwork that makes lasting success possible. They want the penthouse view without putting in the basement work. Let me tell you about a small tech startup that competed against industry giants. While their competitors had hundreds of developers and millions in funding, this startup had a team of just 5 people who understood the power of outworking everyone else. When their competitors worked standard hours, this team worked around the clock in shifts, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. When their competitors outsourced customer support, this team personally handled every customer inquiry, learning directly from user feedback. When their competitors relied on automated testing, this team tested their product manually, catching issues that automated systems would have missed. Was it exhausting? Yes. Did they have moments of doubt? Absolutely. But here's what separated them from the rest. They understood that temporary discomfort was the price of permanent success. They knew that while their competitors were building products, they were building relationships, trust, and a reputation for excellence. Within 18 months, their small app had a more loyal user base than competitors 10 times their size. Not because they had better resources, but because they worked harder at understanding and serving their users' needs. This brings us to a crucial point about working harder than everyone else. It's not just about the quantity of hours you put in, but the quality of effort you invest in those hours. It's about maintaining peak performance even when no one is watching. It's about doing the right thing, the hard thing, even when you have every excuse not to. Many people work hard only when they feel motivated or inspired. But true success comes from working hard, especially when you don't feel like it. It comes from pushing through the days when everything seems to go wrong, when your energy is low, when doubt creeps in and your goals seem impossibly far away. Let's be brutally honest. Most people operate about 40% of their true capacity. They do just enough to avoid criticism, just enough to maintain their current position, just enough to get by. But getting by isn't the same as getting ahead. Maintaining isn't the same as growing. Surviving isn't the same as thriving. Working harder than everyone else means tapping into that unused 60 of your potential. It means pushing past the artificial limits you've set for yourself. It means refusing to accept good enough when greatness is within reach. Think about this. Every time you push yourself beyond your perceived limits, you expand your capacity for achievement. Every time you choose to work when others choose to rest, you gain an advantage that compounds over time. Every time you persist when others quit, you build resilience that will serve you for life. But here's something crucial to understand. Working harder than everyone else doesn't mean sacrificing everything else in your life. It means being more focused, more efficient, and more determined during the hours you do work. It means eliminating distractions, minimizing time wasters, and maximizing your productive. I would consider how much time the average person wastes each day. Scrolling through social media, watching mindless entertainment, engaging in unproductive conversations, procrastinating on important tasks. Now imagine redirecting all that wasted time in purposeful, focused work toward your goals. The most successful people aren't successful because they have more hours in their day. They're successful because they make better use of the hours they have. They understand that time is the great equalizer. We all get the same 24 hours, but what we do with those hours determines our destiny. Working harder than everyone else also means being willing to do the tasks others avoid. It means tackling the difficult problems, having the uncomfortable conversations, making the tough decisions. It means being the first to arrive and the last to leave, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're committed to excellence in everything you do. The moment you decide to work harder than everyone else, you separate yourself from the crowd. You join an elite group of individuals who understand that exceptional results require exceptional effort. But this decision comes with a price that not everyone is willing to pay. Let me share a story about a small manufacturing company that revolutionized their industry. While their competitors focused on cutting costs and maximizing short-term profits, this company invested in perfecting their craft. Their workers arrived 2 hours early each day to practice their skills. Their quality control team examined each product not once, but 3 times. The research team worked weekends testing new materials and techniques. Was it expensive? Yes. Was it time-consuming? Absolutely. Did it seem excessive to outsiders? Without question. But here's what happened. While their competitors produced average products with average quality at average prices, this company created masterpieces. They didn't just meet industry standards, they set new ones. Within 3 years, they weren't just competing in their market, they were defining it. Their products commanded premium prices not because of marketing, but because of merit. Their waiting lists grew not because of artificial scarcity, but because of genuine excellence. This is what happens when you commit to working harder than everyone else. You don't just get better results. You create new standards. You don't just meet expectations. You exceed them so dramatically that they must be redefined. But let's address something that holds many people. The fear of being labeled as obsessed or fanatical. Society often criticizes those who work exceptionally hard, suggesting they're missing out on life or taking things too seriously. Here's the truth. Every great achievement in human history was accomplished by people who were willing to be labeled as obsessed. When you work harder than everyone else, some people won't understand. They'll question your choices, criticize your dedication, and try to pull you back to their level of mediocrity. Remember, their reaction says more about their limitations than your ambitions. Think about the greatest innovations that have changed our world. They weren't created by people working casual hours or maintaining comfortable routines. They were created by individuals who were willing to sacrifice comfort for progress, convenience for achievement, and leisure for legacy. Working harder than everyone else means understanding that while talent can open doors, only hard work can keep them open. It means recognizing that natural ability without relentless effort is like having a powerful engine without fuel. Impressive, but ultimately useless. Consider how many talented people you know who have never reached their full potential. Now think about those who've achieved remarkable success despite having less natural ability. The difference almost always comes down to one thing: the willingness to outwork everyone. But here's a critical distinction that many miss. Working harder than everyone else isn't about mindless labor. It's about purposeful, focused, intelligent effort applied consistently over time. It's about understanding that every extra hour you invest in your craft compounds, creating an ever-widening gap between you and your competitors. When you truly embrace this mindset, something extraordinary happens. Tasks that once seemed impossible become challenging but achievable. Goals that once seemed distant become inevitable milestones. Success that once seemed reserved for others becomes your natural state. The most powerful aspect of working harder than everyone else is that it's entirely within your control. You can't control your natural talents. You can't control your starting circumstances. You can't control external opportunities, but you can always control your effort. This is why the hardest workers often become the most confident professionals. Their confidence doesn't come from empty affirmations or temporary motivation. It comes from knowing they've put in the work. It comes from the unshakable certainty that they've earned their success through effort and dedication. Consider this: every time you choose to work while others rest, you're not just getting ahead. You're building momentum. Every extra hour you invest isn't just time spent. It's compound interest on your future success. Every additional effort you make isn't just work. It's a statement about who you are and what you're willing to do to achieve your dreams. The decision to work harder than everyone else isn't just a choice about how you spend your time. It's a fundamental decision about who you become. Every extra hour you invest, every additional effort you make, every moment you choose growth over comfort shapes not just your results, but your very character. This transformation goes beyond mere success. It rebuilds your entire understanding of what's possible. Consider the transformation of a small family farm that decided to compete against industrial agriculture giants. While the big corporations relied on automation and mass production, this farm chose a different path. They worked from sunrise to sunset, not just tending to their crops, but nurturing the soil itself. They studied ancient farming techniques while experimenting with innovative methods. They didn't just grow food, they cultivated relationships with their customers, their community, and the land itself. Was it harder than conventional farming? Immeasurably so. Did it require more time, more effort, more dedication? Without question, but the results spoke for themselves. While other farms produced average crops in declining soil, their land grew more fertile each year. While others struggled with decreasing margins, they built a loyal customer base willing to pay premium prices for superior quality. Their success wasn't just measured in profits, but in the legacy they were creating for future generations. This is the power of outworking everyone else. It doesn't just change your results, it transforms your entire approach to success. You stop asking, how little can I do? And start asking, how much can I contribute? You stop looking for shortcuts and start embracing the long road to mastery. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate your commitment to excellence. The most profound truth about working harder than everyone else is that it's not about reaching a destination. It's about embracing a journey of continuous growth and improvement. The moment you think you've worked hard enough is the moment you start falling behind. The instant you believe you've learned enough is when your growth begins to stagnate. Success isn't a finish line you cross once. It's a standard you must maintain and elevate every single day. Think about the most successful people in any field. They didn't stop working hard once they achieved success. If anything, they worked harder. They understood that maintaining excellence requires more effort than achieving it. They recognize that the higher you climb, the harder you must work to continue ascending. They embrace the pressure of leadership and the responsibility of excellence. Working harder than everyone else means understanding that there is no finish line. There's no point where you can say, I've worked hard enough. Because the moment you stop pushing yourself to grow is the moment someone who's willing to work harder begins to catch up. This isn't about competition with others. It's about competition with your own potential. This mindset transforms how you view challenges. Instead of seeing them as obstacles to avoid, you recognize them as opportunities to prove your dedication. Instead of viewing problems as burdens, you see them as chances to demonstrate your problem-solving abilities. Every difficulty becomes a platform to showcase your work ethic. Every setback becomes a setup for an even greater comeback. Consider what happens when you consistently outwork everyone else. Your standards rise automatically. What once seemed like peak performance becomes your new baseline. Tasks that once appeared daunting become routine challenges. Goals that once felt impossible become inevitable milestones. Your capacity for achievement expands naturally because you're constantly pushing its boundaries. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of working harder than everyone else is the example you set for others. Your dedication becomes a beacon, showing others what's possible through relentless effort. Your success becomes proof that hard work, applied consistently and intelligently, can overcome almost any obstacle. You become living proof that limitations are often self-imposed and that breakthrough results require breakthrough effort. Think about the impact you have on those around you. When you consistently outwork everyone else, you raise the standards not just for yourself, but for your entire environment. You create a new normal where extraordinary effort becomes the baseline, where excellence becomes the expectation. Your work ethic becomes contagious, inspiring others to push beyond their perceived limits. The decision to work harder than everyone else ripples through every aspect of your life. It affects how you approach relationships, how you handle responsibilities, how you face challenges, and how you define success. It transforms not just what you do, but who you are at your core. This isn't about becoming a workaholic. It's about becoming someone who refuses to settle for mediocrity in any area of life. Ask yourselves, what could you achieve if you worked twice as hard as you do now? What mountains could you climb if you doubled your effort? What problems could you solve if you dedicated yourself completely to finding solutions? The answers to these questions reveal not just possibilities, but responsibilities. The responsibility to make the most of your potential, to use your talents fully, to contribute your maximum effort to every worthy endeavor. Working harder than everyone else isn't just about personal success. It's about contributing to the progress of human achievement. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every step forward in human history was achieved by someone who was willing to work harder than everyone else. Someone who refused to accept the limitations others saw as unchangeable. Someone who understood that extraordinary results require extraordinary effort. Consider that aspect. Every major advancement in human history came from individuals who were willing to put in the extra hours, go the extra mile, and push beyond conventional boundaries. They weren't necessarily the most talented or the most privileged. They were simply the ones who worked the hardest, persisted the longest, and refused to accept anything less than excellence. The choice to work harder than everyone else is available to you right now. It doesn't require special permissions or perfect conditions. It doesn't demand exceptional talent or unusual circumstances. It simply requires the willingness to do what others won't, to push when others quit, to persist when others surrender. This choice is yours to make, and it's available to you in every moment of every day. Remember this. 20 years from now, you won't regret working too hard. You won't regret pushing yourself too far or aiming too high. The only regret you'll have is not starting sooner, not pushing harder, not reaching higher when you had the chance. Time will pass regardless of how you use it. The question is whether you'll use it to build the future you desire or to maintain the status quo you've outgrown. The time to outwork everyone else isn't tomorrow, or next week, or when conditions are perfect. The time is now. The person who must take action is you. The choice to be extraordinary through extraordinary effort is yours to make. Every moment you wait is a moment of potential excellence lost forever. Your future self is watching you right now, hoping you'll make the right choice, hoping you'll choose growth over comfort, excellence over mediocrity, hard work over easy excuses. The question isn't whether you can work harder than everyone else. The question is whether you will. Your potential is waiting to be unleashed through concentrated, consistent, extraordinary effort. The world rewards effort with results, dedication with achievement, and persistence with success. When you commit to working harder than everyone else, you're not just choosing a path to success. You're choosing to become someone worthy of that success. You're choosing to build not just a better future, but a better version of yourself. The journey begins now with your next action, your next choice, your next step forward. Every moment presents an opportunity to outwork, outperform, and outlast everyone else. Every day offers chances to push harder, reach further, and climb higher than those around. The decision is yours. The time is now. The opportunity is here. Will you be the one who works harder than everyone else? Will you be the one who sets new standards of excellence? Will you be the one who transforms potential into reality through relentless effort? Your answer to these questions will determine not just what you achieve, but who you become. Choose wisely, choose boldly, and most importantly, choose now. The world is waiting for your maximum effort, your greatest contribution, your absolute best. Give it nothing less than everything you've got.